Or you would have noticed that Nigerians are always willing to help the police and see that we have a symbiotic relationship. Still, you just mentioned something about community policing. Let's stretch it further and see how best this has helped us in places where we've seen some marauding headsmen, or sometimes we don't even have names for them. Has the police been able to find out who these killers are in these communities?
Yes, like if I heard you well, Suleiman, community policing is about partnership. Now you make specific reference to pastorists and farmers' relationship. That's what you are trying to say about herdsmen. Yes, we are engaging the people, because if you will appreciate the fact that these issues of pastoralists and farmers' crisis has not been so pronounced like now. What are the factors responsible for all this? Is it that people no longer want to live together? Is it scarcity of land? Is it because of convergence of interest? These are issues that need to be marshaled out. From the police perspective, recently the IG also convened a committee to look into this. And we're also having a national security summit to look into the pastoralist farmers relationship. What has exacerbated this crisis? And for those who are involved in, because you cannot, there's a little distinction between the castle rustling, pastoralist and farmers relationship. We have made arrests. We have charged a lot of people to court, and we're engaging the people. We need to do a lot of community engagement. We need a lot to harness intelligence, community intelligence, because of the areas, the locations on which this crisis occur.
You know, it's good that you said that you've made some arrests and you also engage in the people. You know, in some other communities, we've heard stories of these people are aliens, they are non-Nigerians. Is there any truth in that statement or that belief?
When you talk about aliens or non-Nigerians, then you bring issue of interagency collaboration. The police do not specifically deal with non-Nigerians. I think you now bring in our sister agencies like the immigrations, and we are collaborating, because the hallmark of security is interagency collaboration. So the immigration, the military, the civil defense, the DSS, we all collaborating because of national security. So we are collaborating, as is internal security. Once you come into the country, if we discover you are an alien, we hand you over to the immigrations, who will deal with you within their own rules of engagement.
I quite understand what you just highlighted, but I'm trying to pick up from where you left off by saying that some of these people are already being prosecuted. Perhaps you should tell us, all those being prosecuted, are they Nigerians?
Like I said, of course, some are Nigerians, some are not Nigerians. But specifically, when it comes to the issue who is a Nigerian, you need to talk with the immigration. I look at the criminal before I start thinking where you come from, because the issue is about the crime you commit. Don't forget about this is West Africa, and we have free access. We have all kinds of protocols that must be respected and obeyed. So when you start to profile whether these are Nigerians or non-Nigerians, what if they're members of ECOWAS? What do you do? What documentation do they have? What interests us in the police as lead agency in international security is, if you commit crime, what crime have you committed? What offense have you committed? What section of the law takes care of you? In our effort to process you, and we discover that you are not a Nigerian by documentation, we invite our sister agency to look into that. So we exchange ideas, we exchange information, we exchange intelligence, and that's the hallmark of internal security.
What about those that have been arrested with firearms? I like the word you use. You use the word pastoralist. For some, by the time you move into maybe arms carrying and maybe killing of individuals, that takes you out of being a pastoralist or a farmer. So has there been any in custody of the police caught in possession with firearms?
Of course. There are many. There are many caught with firearms. And that's a different offense altogether. That has become illegal possession of firearms. And if you kill somebody, that's moved from homicide or what we call in the north or murder in the south. So these are issues. In one swoop, you can see somebody committing 3 or 4, 5 offenses. You could be a clash between a farmer and a pastor is a different thing. That has to do with space. That has to do with destruction of crops. By the time you graduate into killing and carrying firearms, you are no more a pastorist. You are a common criminal on the streets. So
is the police working
because we know
you
don't shepherd. Let me use that. We don't shepherd cattle with firearms.
DCP Awunah, sorry to cut you here.
You don't go to dig your soil with you.
Sorry to cut you here, DCP Awunah. Is the police working to finding out the sponsors of these ones? Because I recall we had Dr. Isua Dogo here, and he made a fantastic point. Great logic there, looking at the amount of money a cow costs and the amount of cows you need to sell to get just one of those rifles. Is the police working at getting to the bottom of it, perhaps looking towards sponsorship of these mayhem in our society?
Of course, you see, Suleiman, you must appreciate the fact of there is this endemic issue of proliferation of firearms along the sub-region. If you look at the crisis, because of the aftermath or of crisis in Mali, in the Maghreb, in Libya, down to the West African region, there's high level of proliferation of firearms, small arms, and it's not just the amount of money. You can pick firearms easily outside this country, and don't forget about our borders. So sponsorship of course, you can look at the source of firearms. Somebody could just tell you, I picked the firearms from the market. And from the black market. Of course, we don't manufacture AK-47 in Africa, do we? So maybe you go as far as Europe and America. But the issue is that if you are found in possession of firearms, you'll be dealt with according to the law. That's the lawful possession of firearms. And if you use your firearms in causing the death of a fellow Nigerian, you'll be charged to court for murder. So we should go beyond that. The conversation and the narrative should go beyond looking at the man with firearms. How do we do to live harmoniously in the community? What do we do for farmers to do their farms? What do we do for the pastorists and the herdsmen to go about with their heads? These are the issues that the conversation has to change. The narrative has to change. And it has to be all-encompassing. Every Nigerian, all stakeholders must be involved. The farmers, the pastorists, even with the consumers.
DCP Awunah, you said here, Marco asked you a question if the police is overwhelmed, and you said no. But you also talked about a nationalistic perspective to the entire situation of crime, whether cattle rustling, herdsmen attacks, armed robbery, kidnapping and all. The question I want to ask is, the ratio of the police force to the population of citizens in Nigeria, and the fact also that some of your men have been found complicit and have been sacked from the police force, how's that helping to work at, curbing crime across the country?
Yes. One, the United Nations standard, that is the unstable standard, is a policeman to 400. We have not reached that standard yet. We are, by projection, we are about 200 million Nigerians. And the police, we are about 320,000 police officers. Taking into cognizance wastages, retirement, and the rest of them. Since 2010, we have not recruited the members of the rank and file, except now that some of them are undergoing training, 10,000 of them, which is just a far cry from the demands that will meet the Nigerian expectations. So policing is all-inclusive. Those of us who are practitioners, yes, we are uniform, but policing should be a collective ownership. Let us own policing. We are the practitioners. In your community, what are you doing to make your community safer and secured? It's not just the number of policemen. If you make a comparative analysis, take for instance Egypt, about 80 million people, they have over 1 million policemen. Nigeria with over 200 million people, so to speak. We have less than 330,000 policemen. Don't forget the police are involved in many other assignments. We're involved in physical protection, we're involved in intelligence gathering, we're involved in investigation. We provide support to other agencies like EFCC, ICPC, IRS, and the rest of them. We get engaged in international engagement, the United Nations, which we're doing. So
the police is overstretched?
The police is stretched. I wouldn't want to use the word overstretched. We are stretched. We need more power. And we are very thankful that the government of the day has graciously allocated us to train 10,000 above Nigerians. And the training is ongoing after a very serious and very transparent recruitment exercise. For the first time, this is the first time we're having what we call representative policing. In other words, every local government in this country have a police officer in training. That is huge and great.